now.
So this was my weekend, by the way. This is why I'm so happy. I bought goalie equipment from Canadian Tire, street hockey gear.
The one question I have, were you playing with a rubber puck at least?
No, of course not.
You had street hockey pads on and no protection other than
I wasn't even wearing a can.
How about that?
And I went, stack my pads. I'm like, whoa, I got nothing on down here. I never thought that I would be leaving my pins. Seriously.
Wow.
And no mask.
Talk about putting them on the table.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, good morning, Canada, or good afternoon to our Eastern friends and Canadian sports fans around the world. Welcome to the RP Show. It's a hump day. Canada's daytime sports talk show is on the air. And for another straight day, Moose Dupont is not with us, but he actually is going to be with us virtually here in moments. We've got breaking news to get to. I'll ring the bell in a second for that. It's a very big sports day. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Boy, Tampa Bay has woken up, and they're not very happy with us. That's coming up in the quick six show topics here. And our good friend Craig Smith is going to be with us. Our director of scouting, two-time Grey Cup champion, is going to be with us right here in the bunker to break down some of the biggest sports news today and moving forward. And we're going to take you inside a CFL bubble, everybody. Ricky Collins Jr. of the Toronto Argonauts is going to be joining us from the University of Guelph, where the Argos are hosting their training camp and have all their players sequestered there. Ricky Collins Jr. coming up. That is in hour 2. And before we get to the quick six show topics of everything that I wanted to talk about today. And by the way, Clark, did you get those photos that I sent? They're ready to go? Okay, so they're coming up here in the quick six. But first, breaking news. The Canadian Football League says partnership talks with the XFL have been jointly halted. In March, the CFL and XFL announced they were poised to begin serious talks about a potential partnership. Neither side said who initiated talks first, only that they'd agreed to collaborating on ways to grow football. CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie saying in a statement today, our talks with the XFL, exploring the potential for collaboration and innovation, have been positive and constructive. While we remain open to finding new ways to work together in the future, we and our XFL counterparts have jointly decided to not pursue any formal arrangements at this time. There's more, but that's all that you need to know. My initial thought was, what a bloody waste of time and energy. And Arash said similar things, which I'll get to. But before I get to the quick six, let's bring in Moose Dupont, our normal co-host and the CEO of this company, Dupont Media. He is on the deck, I see. Hey, Moose. Good day. How you doing, my friend?
Yes. Good morning. Doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. So we were on the phone this morning, you and I, talking about this. We kind of saw things the same way, but you have a slightly different take. Again, mine is that this is a complete waste of time. Why did you waste our time on this? The reaction's been immense and broad, and we'll get into it more with Smitty later on in the second segment. But how about you? What did you think when you heard this morning?
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing to go through all of this, if they were having all of these talks and to only just throw it or cast it aside. But my initial thought was this makes a lot of sense because the CFL is planning for a season. So if they're putting all their efforts into a season, they can't be spending time talking to the XFL. So of course it's going to be put on hold. Even if they were planning on, looking at something for 2022 or 2023 or 2024, this moment right now is never going to be about having these conversations. So this just seems like business as usual. We were never expecting the XFL, CFL to, create a plan for the 2021 season, right? So as soon as the CFL announced that they were coming back, you kind of figure those talks were going to stop anyway. Does it mean it's dead? Does it mean it's not? I don't think this really tells us one way or the other.
I see the boys from the Mark cast down in Seattle are watching the show right now, and they asked me the last time I was on, they said, why haven't we heard anything about the XFL, CFL collaboration lately? And I said, because they don't want you thinking about it. They want you to, from a CFL perspective, they want you to concentrate on this season. That's what you're talking about. But Arash Madani said it well. A total waste of time, energy, and resources could have reshaped its business model. Instead, months of idiocy and the bag is empty. A waste of time, all of it. And I'm disappointed. Somebody wrote in here earlier on Twitter and said, oh, thank God. I actually thought they were going to grow the league for a second.
How about that?
So that's my take. I'm disappointed at this news today. The poll question today for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center, let me call it up here. You can vote on Twitter and you can vote on Facebook. The poll question is, How do you feel about the CFL and XFL breaking up? 72% of respondents saying they're happy. They're happy that the CFL and XFL have just agreed to see other people as of this morning. So that's the breaking news. We'll get into it more because it's a big hockey day. Moose, are you ready to get into some hockey?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it back on the screen here. So, Game 5 tonight. We are running an Instagram poll right now from our show account at the Rod Pedersen Show. Who do you think wins tonight? Montreal at Tampa Bay. I voted Habs, man. It's elimination the rest of the way. I've been watching all the Sports Center. I've seen so many stats, I can't keep them all straight. Tampa's either 32-0 coming off a loss or 47-0 coming off a loss over the last 2 years. Whatever it is, Darren, it's a lot. But I agree with Dave Poulin, who said that means they're due for a loss. I got Habs tonight.
It does.
Ole, ole, ole. How about you?
Yeah, I can't get that song out of my head either. After we literally put 10 seconds on our Instagram story, and we were like, the two of us were singing it on the airplane all the way home. It was wild. But you know what? I think, I've got the Habs too, because there's a little taste of hope in that locker room now. And, they know that they're just another step closer. So, you know what? I'm with the Habs on this. I was, following Twitter this morning. Not a lot of lineup changes. None, in fact. Looks like Jake Evans is still in. It looks like, Romanov on the back end still in. So that means, Kotkaniemi won't play again in this game. And I don't see him getting back into the series at all. So it'll be good tonight. But, yeah, I'm going with the Habs, too.
Joe Lazito's watching in Long Island. He says, I hope the Habs hockey gods made the trip to Tampa. I hope that they're allowed into the country. Mandy in Edmonton says, man, I said from the start of this XFL talk that a merger wasn't going to happen. Rod disagreed. It was just talk.
That?
RP show gave it more attention than it needed. Well, I'm sorry to talk about the CFL. Damn it. You know what? Let's just talk hockey then. So, hang on, Moose. The viewers want to know where you're at today, which golf course you're at.
Yeah, we're at the Elmwood in Swift Current.
Okay, beautiful.
This is not the Elmwood behind me. This is a friend's place.
I know the comments are coming in like crazy with the CFL, XFL declaring their breakup today. We'll get into that more with Smitty. If you can come back on me for a second, guys. So Dan Goodspeed, you all remember Goody. Dan Goodspeed, Super Bowl winning champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2003, right tackle. Played in the CFL with Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. Hang on. I haven't called for that yet. That's him, but hang on. He writes me from Tampa Bay. And when he left the CFL, he said to me, Rod, if you're ever in Tampa, give me a call. I didn't think I'd ever be in Tampa. Well, lo and behold, you never know where life's going to take you, right? So Goody writes me this. Hey, Rod, been listening and watching to your radio show this week from the COVID capital. That's what I called it a few weeks ago. He's been paying attention. He says, your new flag is hideous.
How about that?
He says, if the Habs had any chance at winning the cup, your boy Brendan McGuire on your blog wouldn't be referring to it as the COVID Cups. We did it last year. Not as fun, but still had a huge parade. Everyone here knows it's the Bolts in 5 on home ice. The Stanley Cup was last series, Bolts versus Islanders. I'll send you pics from the victory parade on the water. Go Bolts. Zzz, 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 zzz. All these emojis. You know what they are, Moose. He says, P.S. Hope you're well. Show looks and sounds good. Looking forward to the CFL season. Signed, Dan Goodspeed. And I'm like, oh, now Goody's awake. We've only been trying to get him on the show for the last year, Clark? Yeah, so one night in Tampa Bay, here's the story. This is a great story. I find myself in Tampa Bay. I go to a game of the Buccaneers and the Bills. And who's the featured alumni of the Bucs that night? Dan Goodspeed. Now you can bring the photos up, guys. So we're at Raymond James Stadium, and here's Goody showing off his Super Bowl ring. He's the featured alumni. So he says, right around the corner of that, he's like, Rod, come sit with me, and I want you to bring you down to the field at halftime. I'm like, okay. So I try to scale. Well, I didn't. Just hang on. I was getting to that. So I scaled the fence to get into the VIP section, and the security comes running up to me, and they're like, you can't come in here unless you're Buccaneers alumni or a member of the Glazer family. I said, who's the Glazer family? Betty Big Wheel, the security lady, said, they own the team. So Goody's like, just wait. I'll bring you down at halftime onto the field. And that's the photo, guys. You bring it up now. That was on the field at halftime. Dan Goodspeed, the honored alumni. Man, they do it right at Buccaneers games. Obviously, I took that photo. And I just love the guy, Dan Goodspeed, a Super Bowl champion and just a tremendous CFL alum. So there's my Dan Goodspeed story. Okay, so let's bring Moose back in here. Point 3 of the Quick Six show topics here in the warm-up for Ecol Electric. And if you don't mind, I'll tell you that Ecol Electric is your complete electrical distributor with locations in Regina, Estevan, Swift Current, Yorkton, and Moose Jaw. Ecol Electric. Let's get to work. NBA Finals last night. I watched it. Phoenix beat Milwaukee 118-105. It was a decent enough game, but the Suns led throughout, and I hope they sweep it for the sake of the Valley. Point 4, Darren's what I wanted your opinion on. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, saying prior to that game last night that it's unclear if the Raptors will be able to return to Canada to start next season. You must have seen the furor that caused from sports fans in Canada. What's your take on that statement by the commissioner?
I know that's tough. Like, I would have a lot more optimism if I were him, especially with the border, kind of being open for quarantines a little bit, at least in this province now, right, for coming back. Excuse me. But that's him being any boss, any commissioner, not wanting to commit to anything. We're still unsure. We don't want to commit to anything. I don't want to say that it's going to be open and they're going to be able to travel again, because what if I'm wrong? But I would have rather heard him say, we're really optimistic and we think Toronto's going to come back, but we don't know where COVID's going to be and what the variants are going to look like. That just sounds like him, corporate speak is how I read that, right? Is he just doesn't want to commit to something he's not going to know what it's going to look like. But I think it's probably, I wouldn't be too worried right now if I'm Toronto Raptor fans. I think they're going to be okay. I think they'll be able to travel and be back in Toronto, but that's kind of how I read that statement.
Well, we're a year and a half now-ish into the pandemic, and we really have no idea where this is going. We still don't know who to listen to. Like, for instance, I saw that as Adam Silver saying, and by the way, I'm a big fan of his, it is unclear. They don't know. What else is he supposed to say? And then the other thing is the CFL, as a guy said to me yesterday on the phone, they still don't have the government approval for their return to play protocols, yet they're in training camp. You probably saw the video on Instagram of the Rough Riders yesterday, or they're on the field, whatever they're doing. And we're going to go into the Toronto bubble next hour with Ricky Collins of the Argos, and he's going to take us deep inside what they're doing there. But they still don't have government clearance from what we know. We haven't heard anything on crowd sizes. And yet,
I know
they're selling tickets for games. So I'm just rolling with it. I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong or who's trying to snow us and who isn't. But to say that Adam Silver says it's unclear whether the Raptors can come back or not, he's just being honest. Point 5, the Jays blow one at Baltimore last night, 7-5, ruining a tremendous outing by Steven Matz, their starter. But Rowdy Tellez is gone. He wasn't having a very good year. He's dealt to the Milwaukee Brewers for 2 arms. Were you sad to see Rowdy go?
You know what? Fun name, fun guy, but no. I mean, at this point, they have to do what's right, and clearly getting the right mix in that bullpen is mission number 1 for the Jays. And whether these 2 guys will help right away or not, yet to be seen. But no, not sad to see him go. They got to find something to surround those great young players and start turning these into some more consistent wins.
Yeah, I love Rowdy Tellez, but he was in Buffalo. I mean, in the minors, for God's sakes. He wasn't even up with a big club. Yeah. So hopefully the trade pays off, and I think that Mark Shapiro and crew, Ross Atkins, have a history here of making good deals. So, and what I liked when I was reading coverage of it was that it was a deal between 2 contending teams, the Brewers and the Blue Jays. I'm like, wow, we think that the Blue Jays are contending. That's what I got out of that. That's a good thing. Point 6. Is everybody getting aboard the Denmark bandwagon here? Choo-choo. Are we putting a bet on this semifinal of Euro 2020? My country, Denmark, which is literally my country, versus the team that you're pulling for because your country, France, bit the big one. So it's my team versus your team. Are we down to the Final 4 here in this thing?
We are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who had Denmark making it this far?
I don't know. It'll be fun. It's funny. I got options. I got a little French, little English, little Ukrainian, little Icelandic. But it'll be fun. We'll put lunch at the tap.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Your family tree's a bush. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that.
By the way, our rock star of the day yesterday was Devin Caney from the National Lacrosse League and the wide-ranging interview. I see that Darnell's watching today from Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. They sponsor the rock star of the day. Darnell said he is indifferent to the news today that the CFL and XFL have broken up. And one more time, the poll question today is, how do you feel about the news that the CFL and XFL have broken up? And over 70% saying that they're happy about it. Our Instagram poll is on the hockey game tonight, and the majority saying that Montreal will win. Moose, thanks for riding shotgun for this. We'll let you go do your thing. Thanks for this, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, have a great show.
Thank you. Darren Moose Dupont joining us today from the Frontier City in the warm-up. The big news today, the CFL and XFL announcing they are no longer collaborating on any talks. There will be no merger. And in the bunker next, Craig Smith, two-time Grey Cup champion, our director of scouting, to talk about that news and also Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. You're watching the Rod Pedersen Show on Game Plus TV network across all 10 provinces and 31 states. Live daily on YouTube and Facebook as well, and 24-hour sports radio for Suds full-service car wash at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.